welcome to HITC Sport. Now, it's been a big week for football. Let's start with PSG. Jesus Christ, you absolute bottle jobs. How do you fuck up that badly? For all the money they spend, they have the mental fortitude of a dead badger. They are the biggest bottle jobs in Europe. I'm sorry, but they just are. You will not find a more spineless bunch of footballers than PSG. And you might think that's harsh, but it's true. How are you going to have 72% possession, more than double the amount of shots, and still concede 3 goals? They always find a way to somehow throw it away in the Champions League. Honestly, you could literally hand this club a one-way ticket to the Champions League final, and they'd probably feed it to the fucking dog. Yeah, it's easy for them in the French league. It's a division where they could turn up overweight, cranky, and nursing several hangovers, and still score about 3 or 4 against most teams. For Christ's sake, it's a division where Mario Balotelli is a fucking superstar. But when they're dragged out of this cozy little comfort zone and thrown into the Champions League, oh no, they can't do it. They're essentially like that privileged kid born into a lot of money, had everything on a plate for them, had their arses wiped by a team of butlers, but then the moment they're forced to face real challenges in the world, like a goddamn tax return, they collapse into a fetal position and pull out chunks of their own hair. You know, when they go out and try to sign the hottest young thing every summer, why don't they just dip into the transfer market for a spine as well? Neymar must be watching this game thinking, why the f did I leave Barcelona? I think, lad, you saw this. You were there. You saw this firsthand. How weak-minded PSG are. When they chucked away a 4-0 first leg lead against Barcelona 2 years ago. Like, why would you join a club like that? Like, what's Thomas Tuchel supposed to say to the lads after this game?
Oh, don't worry, lads. At least you were beaten by the best.
How the f did you lose their team with Scott McTominay and Mason Greenwood on the pitch? For Christ's sake, look at their team. One of them is just 70% hair. So Man United have been blitzing teams for fun in the last few weeks, but realistically, their preparation couldn't have been worse. If you made a compilation video of all their injuries over the last few weeks, it would look like the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. Like, look at the bench. Dave Chong, Mason Greenwood. Who or what is a James Garner? He looks like the type of guy who's embarrassed to spend his weekends working as a male librarian. James Garner, not exactly a name that strikes fear into the hearts of Mbappe and co. I mean, is it? Actually, you know where I have seen this guy before.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV after a magnificent 3-0 win off of Chelsea. Just sum up that game.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant.
And his name is fucking James. Lads, you've been rumbled. When Man United's injury crisis is so bad that they're forced to dig out the kids from Newcastle Fans TV. Honestly, if they had any more players missing, they'd have been forced to stick the fucking tea lady in it right back. I mean, she'd probably have done a better job than Bailly. But Man United, good lord, what has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer done to that team? Doesn't make sense. And you think, like, he is still an interim manager. This is still an audition for him. He has lost one game, and even that was the first leg against PSG, so that one doesn't matter. When he was appointed, I'll admit it, I thought, what has happened to this once great club? They were sort of like that former model whose life has descended into a pit of despair ever since they were dumped 5 years ago, and we're now having to resort to asking out their fucking cousin, which you can only really get away with if you're from Sunderland. But no, this Norwegian cousin is working miracles. But I genuinely thought his management career had essentially ended in a big ball of flames, banished back to Norway, never to be heard from again. For Christ's sake, he managed to get Wilfred Zaha relegated. That sort of made me think this fella can't manage his way out of a paper bag. If you told me back then that within 5 years he'd be masterminding a 3-1 win at PSG, mind you, if you told me that I'd be making a living from screaming into a camera in a sweaty, damp room, I'd have just politely drowned myself in a barrel of soup. Romelu Lukaku is like that monk who finally decides to have a tug in the shower, usually while thinking of page 3 of Little Boys magazine. But anyway, after years of celibacy, as soon as they even touched the wrinkly old sausage, it would probably explode all over the goddamn shop. That is what Romelu Lukaku's pattern of goal scoring is like. 40 years, he's barren as hell. Then, as soon as he gets one sniff of goal, he's like a rat up a drain pipe. Or, in other words, Russell Brand on a 3-day bender. That'll become the first Man United player in 13 years to score 3 successive braces in a row. And again, it was only 2 weeks ago that he couldn't get in the team and looked about as much use as Stephen Hawking's skiing boots. Rashford scored the 3rd, a last minute penalty after Kimpembe pretty much ruined his life. Although, was it a penalty? I mean, not for me, but you know, you be the judge. Then again, you're not the judge. I mean, you weren't the ref. But regardless, I talked about Bottle earlier. Marcus Rashford, for a man 21 years of age, to take that penalty on last minute with the pressure he was under on such a huge occasion. 3 years ago, we barely knew who this man was. What a mature head this kid has on his shoulders. Most lads his age are out chasing skirts and live off a diet of cheesy chips and Sambuca shots. He's an example to the likes of Chong and Greenwood of what they could achieve. Although El Greenwood, 17 years old. He is going to be the cock of the walk at school on Friday morning. Alright, Tom, what'd you get up to during the week? Bit of Minecraft and a big wank, was it? Me? Yeah, you know, just knock you woke up champions out of the f***ing Champions League, innit? Alright, Sally love. Bet you'd f***ing match me on Tinder now, innit? But you know, it's not a f***ing thing. Ça mate. Think you'll excuse me for not doing me homework this week, miss? Alright. I don't know why I made Greenwood a cockney prick. That entire bit was regrettable. Now that is enough praising Manchester United. Christ above, I feel like I'm doing more sucking than Talisa on the bathroom floor. Over the PG-13 version, more sucking than a hoover on stubborn grass stains. See, Mom, I can be nice. But, lads, now that Manchester United are back, you know what this means. So are the fans. The fans that have remained dormant for the last 5 years are now scuttling back to the fore, crawling out of their caves to tweet about their re-emergence as the kings. I grew up in a country where 80% of my classmates basically wanked over Ronaldo and Rooney every second day. The other 15% worshipped Liverpool and, well, the others, well, they were just the types you'd want to keep an eye on in case they ever walked in with a f***ing trench coat. But just be prepared for these fans to wax lyrical about them winning the league next season. It's coming, lads. Anyway, just finally, here's a video of Jesse Lingard once again sounding like a donkey having a f***ing stroke. Speaking of celebrations, actually, this is when the penalty went in. Rio, yeah, you can absolutely understand that. Lineker supporting the English team, yeah. Hargreaves, I mean, to be honest, that man just looks happy to be standing up. But wait, hang on, what's that? Why, it must be the sound of Michael Owen stubbornly sitting, arms folded, looking like he's just discovered a shit in his Weetabix. Now I get that, you know, Anfield hero doesn't want to be seen celebrating a Man United goal in public. I can only imagine what that would do to his reputation. Good God, that's just worse than death. You'd have to jump off a cliff, right? Except you cheered plenty of Man United goals when you played for Man United. Anyway, the other bottle job of the week is Real Madrid, who were having the season from hell. 2-1 up against Ajax in the first leg. Who would have seen them losing 4-1 at home with Dusan Tadic, the fella who was floundering around the place at Southampton last season, absolutely rinsing the likes of Luka Modric in midfield. I mean, I think it's fair to say Real Madrid fans are spoiled. Like, they don't turn up to a game to cheer the team. They turn up to a game making sure their multi-millionaires dare not let them down on that pitch. Cause if they do, you better believe they're gonna kick your car into a f***ing cube. Apparently Bale is a problem. Not showing enough commitment because he doesn't speak a word of Spanish. I mean, that's just a blatant lie.
Contra el Betis y yo espero jugar buen fútbol para la afición. Me siento muy bien. Yo espero que podamos jugar buen fútbol y ganar muchos títulos.
Fair enough, he'd probably get a D in GCSE Spanish, but still, it's not as if he's made no effort. Antonio Valencia's been in England for 13 years and probably still couldn't order a footlong from f***ing Subway. But could you really question his commitment? Not a chance. Yes, Bale is injury prone, but the man has scored over 100 goals for the club. He's won 4 Champions Leagues, he's scored in like 5 finals. Any other club, they'd be building him a goddamn statue. Although knowing the recent trend of statues, it would probably end up looking like something out of the Planet of the Apes. Santiago Solari is obviously getting the boot soon, but who's going to replace him? Look, I rate Mourinho very highly, right? Despite the fact that Cardiff Reject is cleaning up his mess with very much ease. But would I want to see him go back to Madrid? No, not really. I don't want to see him go back to Inter either. Those are the 2 clubs in football where he's actually still pretty loved. For one of the greatest managers on earth, I do not want the latter stages of his career to just be returning to former clubs, failing, and just ruining the last strings of relationships he had left in the game before he retired. Keep the memories, Jose, because without Ronaldo, Madrid just don't have a hope of beating Barcelona. But yeah, that was an interesting week in the Champions League. Real Madrid fans are probably going to spend the next few days sticking their head in a toaster. For Christ's sake, those lads lose their shit when they lose possession at a corner kick. But for Manchester United fans, they will always remember that one night in Paris. I mean the football game, not the time you're one off the telly, sucked your man off in the hotel room. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to give it a like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.